أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum dear viewers of Jameel TV. I welcome you once again in another explanation of the surah from Holy Quran, and that is AlHashaar, the 59th surah in the compilation of Quran, which has 24 verses. This surah talks about the banishment of Bani Nazir and secret relationship between them and hypocrites of Medina. It exhorts the believers to be firm in their faith in Allah and gives some of the beautiful names of Allah. Here are some significant points discussed in its content. The banishment of a Jewish tribe of Banu Nadir, the distribution of the spoil of war, the false promises of the hypocrites, and exhortation of the believers to faith, besides mentioning the beautiful names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How it was named. The surah takes its name from the second ayat. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم هو الذي أخرج الذين كفروا من أهل الكتاب من ديارهم لأول الحشر. It is he who expelled the ones who disbelieved among the people of the scripture from their homes at the first gathering. Connection between the beginning and the ending of the surah. The surah begins and ends with tasbih, glorification of Allah. Also, both first and last ayat end with the two names of Allah Almighty, Al-Aziz and Al-Hakim. For example, سبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم. Whatever is in the heavens and whatever is on the earth exalts Allah, and He is the exalted in might, the wise. Then at the end, هو الله الخالق البارئ المصور له الأسماء الحسنى يسبح له ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم. He is Allah, the Creator, the Inventor, the Fashioner. To Him belong the best names. Whatever is in the heavens and earth is exalting Him, and He is the exalted in might, the wise. Period of revelation. Bukhari and Muslim contain a tradition from Hazrat Saad bin Jubair to the effect, when I asked Hazrat Abdullah bin Abbas radiallahu anhu about Surah Al-Hashr, he replied that it was sent down concerning the battle against the Bani an-Nadir, just as Surah Al-Anfal was sent down concerning the battle of Badr. In another tradition from Hazrat Saad bin Jubair radiallahu anhu, the words cited from Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu are Kul Surah An-Nadir, say it is Surah An-Nadir. The same thing has been related from Mujahid, Qatada, Zuhri ibn Zayd, Yazid bin Ruman, Muhammad bin Ishaq, and others. They are unanimous that the followers of the book whose banishment has been mentioned in it imply the Bani an-Nadir, Yazid bin Roman, Mujahid, and Muhammad bin Ishaq have stated that this whole surah, from beginning to end, came down concerning this very battle. As for the question as to when this battle took place, Imam Zuhri has stated on the authority of Arwa bin Zubair that it took place 6 months after the Battle of Badr. However, Ibn Sa'd, Ibn Hisham, and Baladuri regard it as an event of Rabiul Awwal after Hijrah 4, and the same is correct. For all traditions agree that this battle took place after the incident of Bir Mauna, and historically also it is well known that the incident of Bir Mauna occurred after the Battle of Uhud and not before it. Historical background. In order to understand the subject matter of this surah well, it is necessary to have a look at the history of the Medina and Hijaz Jews, for without it, one cannot know precisely the real cause of the Holy Prophet ﷺ's dealing with their different tribes the way he did. No authentic history of the Arabian Jews exists in the world. They have not left any writing of their own in the form of a book or a tablet which might throw light on the past, nor have the Jewish historian and writers of the non Arab world made any mention of them. The reason being that after their settlement in the Arabian Peninsula, they had detached themselves from the main body of the nation, and the Jews of the world did not count them as among themselves, for they had given up Hebrew culture and language, even the names, and adopted Arabism instead. In the tablets that have been unearthed in the archaeological research in the Hijaz, no trace of the Jews is found before the first century of the Christian era, except for a few Jewish names. Therefore, the history of the Arabian Jews is based mostly on the verbal traditions prevalent among the Arabs, most of which had been spread by the Jews themselves. The Jews of the Hijaz claimed that they had come to settle in Arabia during the last stage of the life of the Prophet Moses. They said that the Prophet Moses had dispatched an army to expel the Amalekite from the land of Yathrib and had commanded it not to spare even a single soul of that tribe. The Israelites' army carried out the command but spared the life of handsome prince of Amalekite king and returned with him to Palestine. By that time the Prophet Moses had passed away. His successor took great exception to what the army had done, for by sparing the life of an Amalekite, it had clearly disobeyed the Prophet and violated the Mosaic law. Consequently, they excluded the army from their community, and it had to return to Yathrib and settle there forever. Thus, the Jews claimed that they had been living in Yathrib since about 1200 BC. But this had, in fact, no historical basis, and probably the Jews had invented this story in order to overawe the Arabs into believing that they were of noble lineage and the original inhabitants of the land. The second Jewish migration, according to the Jews, took place in 587 BC when Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, destroyed Jerusalem and dispersed the Jews throughout the world. The Arab Jews said that several of their tribes at that time had come to settle in Wadi al Qura, Thema, and Yasrib. But this too has no historical basis. By this, also they might have wanted to prove that they were the original settler of the area. As a matter of fact, what is established is that when in AD 70 the Romans massacred the Jews in Palestine and then in AD 132 expelled them from that land, many of the Jews' tribes fled to find an asylum in the Hijaz, a territory that was contiguous to Palestine in the south. There they settled wherever they found water springs and greenery, and then by intrigue and through money lending business gradually occupied the fertile lands. Ayla, Makna, Tabuk, Taima, Wadi al Qura, Fadak, and Khyber came under their control in that very period, and Bani Qurayza, Bani al-Nadir, Bani Bahdal, and Bani Anuka also came in the same period and occupied Yasrib. Dear viewers, here we stop our study of the surah. In the next episode, we will keep studying the historical background, and then we will discuss its topic and themes as well. Thank you for watching. Keep connected with Jameel TV. Thanks.